Greetings and welcome to step 19 of our Awakening in 30 Steps. Today's contemplation is on equalizing self and other, which develops a very strong sense of empathy. So I want to just preface today's reflection with the notion of how superiority and inferiority are constantly at play in our relational dynamics with others. We are vacillating at some point between these two extremes, and as a result of where we might find ourselves on the continuum or spectrum, that dictates or determines how we actually interact, see others, relate to others, behave towards others. And so this reflection is paramount. Learning how to equalize self and other is paramount if we're to establish that sense of deep and enduring empathy, and of course altruism. The not only the empathy, the ability to feel what someone else is feeling, but also the wish to engage with them in compassionate and constructive ways. So let's look at the continuum, because interestingly enough, the way it's positioned in the Buddhist tradition is that most of us tend towards the extreme of self-importance, superiority. Even if it's not conscious, it's very subtle and subliminal. And in a way, we don't have to judge so much. We can just look at it through the lens of a survival, instinctual, or evolutionary biology way. If we didn't feel important enough, if we didn't feel substantial enough through the course of evolution, then we might not protect ourselves. And if we didn't protect ourselves, then maybe we would be prone to attack, and in a way we would die. So there is a kind of evolutionary advantage to ensuring our survival by claiming this little bit of arbitrary real estate as somehow more important. But I think we can all appreciate that the limits far outweigh the potential benefits, especially now that we have reached culture and civilization. There's no longer that much impetus or need for us to be dictated by subliminal survival instincts from evolution. Now it's time to thrive, and in order to thrive really in our social interactions, we're probably due for a recalibration of this instinctual sense of self-importance and superiority. So today's contemplation has quite a bit of homework to do. Rather than me doling out some of my own thoughts, I just want to set up a few potential reflections for you within this step, so that you can really, mine it for what it's worth and make it relevant and personal for you. So the first one is to really acknowledge, do some inventory around how the self is more important. All the ways that you take this bit of real estate to be superior, how it demands your attention, what percentage of the pie chart of your attention is dedicated to yourself, and then what that does to the other, how it diminishes the value of the other. Somehow, implicitly, through the course of evolution, and family systems and culture, and now amplified on social media, all the ways in which the self becomes much more essential and important. And we don't have to look any further than some of the Instagram accounts where thousands and thousands of posts, one after another, are a selfie. We've hit an all-time high of narcissism in our culture. I'm sure you would agree. And let's be honest. Maybe we're complicit in that. Maybe we get swept away in the surge or the momentum of that. And so here's an opportunity for us to just take stock, both of the cognizant or conscious level ways in which we are somehow more important, superior, demand more attention, or the unconscious ones, the more subtle ones. And then here's a very interesting reflection. For some of us, it may be actually the inverse, or the other side of the spectrum, the other side of the pendulum. In what ways, consciously and unconsciously, do we feel inferior insignificant. So this would be the other pole, and maybe that's more predominant for you. I don't know. But certainly this reflection is asking us first and foremost to just see where on the spectrum we lie, and then to see how that position influences how we interact with others. So if you feel that you're more deficient, that's not just, the buck is not going to end there. What does that do for your interrelations? How does it impact the way you behave and act towards others? So just take an inventory there. And then I will offer this, which is how do we begin to move towards what the main thrust of today's step is, which is to equalize self and other, to ascribe the same level of importance and value, intrinsic meaning and value, both to ourselves, to see ourselves as a mother being deserving of love and kindness in equal measure to every other mother being equally deserving of love and kindness, safety and respect, basic dignity. How do we move towards calibrating our sense of self to be of equal importance to everyone else, and therefore equally deserving of love, respect, safety, and dignity? That is the heart of today's reflection. Reflection 19 of our awakening in 30 steps, equalizing self and other. Now, this is the way the Dalai Lama puts it. All beings want happiness. None of us want to suffer. And in that way, despite all our apparent differences, which in some contexts are really important, but in that way, the fact that we all want happiness, none of us want to suffer, is a way in which we are more alike than differences. And in thinking about this reflection, it caught my attention that there are members of our human family and even of other species and even the environment right now calling out for acknowledgement. In other words, calling out to say that we are different, that we haven't been recognized and we haven't been treated fairly. And this is a very, very essential part of place in history where people are coming forward, the downtrodden, the neglected, the rejected, the unfairly treated. People, rightfully so, are finding their voices, and collectively we have to support people to acknowledge their differences, that they all haven't in our estimation, in our human history, in our human story, have not been treated fairly or with equal dignity. And now we're at a historic period, truly historic period, where we can do that. And so there are some attempts, there are some agendas in which difference is important to be highlighted. But we have to take into consideration from this tradition, several thousands years old, the main thrust is to always remember it has been contextualized in an infinite life paradigm. And what that means is that at given any one time, we could be rich or poor, white or black, male or female, or whatever designation. And in one context, those differences may be important. But in another context, they're temporary. And so from the big picture, the big cosmological picture of mother beings cycling through different relationships and different life forms, what is really important in this reflection is to equalize the value, the inherent value of every sentient creature, even if it's an animal, even if it's down to an ant, even if it's Mother Earth, to ascribe a level of dignity that is equally designated to oneself as it is to another. So despite all the differences, there is a basic, fundamental, shared commonality that we are all worthy of dignity, safety, respect, and love. And that is the true juice press of the reflection on equalizing self and other. So I hope that you have a little time carved out today or tomorrow to reflect on some of the points in the sub-points in today's step, and I look forward to continuing our journey. Until soon, all best wishes.